Hello brothers and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be talking about the Repulsor Executioner, the brand new Primaris tank. Today is the pre-ordering day. Today now is the 29th of June. This is a Saturday if you're watching this right now. And with the pre-orders, there's also been the stats leak of the actual tank. So we've got all the weapons, all the descriptions, all the stats. We've even got the point costs. Of course, you can see in the background now. I'm going to go through it step by step, give my personal feedback, what I like, what I hate, what is, average, all that kind of stuff. So let's jump in and let's get started. Just a little heads up, if you hear birds tweeting in the background, it's because I've got my window open. There's like a massive heat wave in Europe at the moment. It is super, super hot. So if you hear a parrot, I mean it, if you hear a parrot, please just don't judge me. Okay, so let's start with the basic stats. The movement, the ballistic skill, and the attacks all depend on how many damage is on your tank. So the more damage it takes, the more these characteristics change. So the weapon skill is 6+, the strength is 8, the toughness is 8, wounds is 16, leadership 9, and save is 3+. Everything basically is the same as the normal repulsor. It's just where the weapons really change. Now, the characteristics, which drop down in tiers, so if you've got 9 to 16 wounds, that is full tier, so your movement is 10, your ballistic skill is 3+, and your weapon skill is 6. If you drop down a tier and you've got 5 to 8 wounds, then your movement changes to 5, your ballistic skill changes to 4+, and your weapon skill is D6. Now, if you drop down to the lowest tier, which is 1 to 4 wounds, your movement is 3, your ballistic skill is 5+, and your weapon skill is 1. You don't want to be dropping down there. You might as well just blow up, I personally say. Right, now, the most interesting thing about this tank and what I've been waiting for so long is to see all the weapons this gets, and also the point cost of the weapons. We'll do the weapons first, and then we'll go to the abilities, and we'll leave the point cost for the end, because I've added it all up and stuff, and I'm really happy actually with this tank. I actually went out and bought 2 of them. I'm not gonna lie, I went on My Element Games, and I pre-ordered 2 because I thought, wow, the points cost of these are fantastic. Right, so let's just get started with the actual weapon. So it comes with a frag grenade launcher, range 18, assault D6, strength 4, AP 0, damage is 1. The heavy laser destroyer, which we've seen this previewed now, is range 72, heavy 2, strength is 10, AP -4, damage is D6. Damage rolls of 1 or 2 made for an attack with this weapon count as a 3 instead. Oh baby, I love it. Heavy Onslaught Gatling cannon, range 30, heavy 12, strength 5, AP -1, damage is 1. Daka. Ikari's rocket pod, the range is 24 inches, it's heavy D3. The strength is 7, AP is -1, and damage is 1. It says add 1 to hit rolls made for this weapon against targets that can fly. Subtract 1 from hit rolls made for this weapon against all other targets. So really, if you're firing your Ikari's rocket pod, you make sure you're flying it at flyers, because that's where the bonus comes into it. The Iron Hail Heavy Stubber, range is 36, type is heavy 3, strength is 4, AP is -1, and damage is 1. Now, the second option for the tank, because you can either choose between the heavy laser destroyer or the Mackerel plasma incinerator. Now, the Mackerel plasma incinerator is basically the same Mackerel plasma incinerator that you find on the new Primaris Dreadnought, the Redemptor Dreadnought. So the stats for this, the standard, if you just find it normal, is range 36, heavy D6 for the type, strength is 8, AP is -4, and damage is 1. But if you're supercharging this, and I always say supercharge, because when you supercharge, it just makes everything a little bit more fun. So the range is 36 inches, again, heavy D6. Now, the strength is 9, AP is -4, and the damage is 2. But, of course, if you supercharge, the ability is for each hit roll of 1, the bearer suffers 1 mortal wound after all his weapon shots have been fired. So that's why I always say keep like captains and lieutenants and everything around these, so you can get all your rerolls and stuff like that. If you're playing Ultramarines and you've got Rebute, then stick him down and just laugh at everything that's in front of you. And at the bottom, we have a Storm Bolter, 24 inches, rapid fire 2, strength is 4, AP is 0, and damage is 1. We've got twin heavy bolters that are on the front. This does not come with twin las cannons, to much my surprise. Maybe that it's a balance issue, because on the Repulsor you can either put Stormbolters or las cannons, and it's always las cannons, because why would you take Stormbolters when you can take las cannons? Sorry, heavy bolters. What's the point of taking heavy bolters when you can take las cannons? So this one, it doesn't have the option. Maybe because they think the heavy laser destroyer is enough for you, but it's nothing's enough for me. I want all the las if I can take all the las. So the twin heavy bolter, range is 36, heavy 6, strength 5, AP -1, and damage is 1. And the final weapon is a twin Icarius Iron Hail Heavy Stubber. That's a mouthful. Range is 36, heavy 6, strength is 4, AP is -1, and damage is 1. And just like the other, the Icarius Rocket Pod, add 1 to hit rolls made for this weapon against all targets that can fly. So subtract 1 from hit rolls made for this weapon against all other targets. Now, the abilities for this are basically the same as the Repulsor, but it has something else which we've already discussed in a previous video, and me were like fanboying over it, is the Aquilian Optics. Now, this is what makes this tank good, in my opinion. This is what makes it worth taking over a Repulsor. Of course, you know, the heavy laser destroy and all that kind of stuff, but this is one of the main factors of it. So it says, if this model remains stationary or moves under half speed in its movement phase, i.e. it moves a distance in inches less than half its current move characteristics, it can shoot its heavy laser destroyer or Mackerel plasma incinerator twice in the following shooting phase. This weapon must target the same unit both times. So you can't say, all right, I fired at this one and then I fire at that one next. No, you have to keep firing where you fired it before. But for me, that is what is just glorious about this, because at the moment when I play my Primaris, I'm not gonna lie, I get teased about this all the time. People call me yellow towel because of my my Imperial Fists and stuff like that. I make gun lines. That is basically the name of the game. Playing Primaris at the moment is just gun lines and firing dagger down upon your opponents, and this adds to that, where you basically it's more or less don't move it and just keep firing, because if you're taking the heavy laser destroyer, which is range 72, then you're more or less hitting anything on a board, unless you're playing like one of these huge, well, I won't say apocalyptic games, but you know, one of these huge apocalyptic sized boards, where it, you know, you got to be needing to move it up and stuff like that. But any like normal, you know, 40k game between you and a friend, yeah, you're more or less hitting everything on the board. So there's really no need to move this, unless, you know, you want to move it up because you got people inside of it. But really, I won't suggest putting people inside of it. Just use it as a base firing and just keep pumping shots on your enemies. It's got stuff like explodes. Of course, we all know, you know, if it explodes on a 6, it explodes, and each unit within 6 inches suffers D6 mortal wounds. So make sure you don't roll a 6 if it explodes, or just keep it out the range of the enemy so they can't make it explode. There we go, problem solved. Hover tank distance and ranges are measured to and from the model's hull, even though it has a base. So you can have the biggest base in the world on this thing, but you have to measure it just from the hull. That's always been the case with repulsor tanks and stuff like that. That's what I do on my all my repulsor-esque tanks I've got in my cabinet. Repulsor field, subtract 2 from charge rolls for units who declare a charge against any models with this ability. So yes, if you are charging repulsor, you have to make sure that you will be removing 2 from whatever roll you get, because the repulsor field is like, no, get out of here. Power of the Machine Spirit. This is what makes these tanks pretty awesome as well. This model does not suffer penalty to hit rolls for moving and firing heavy weapons. I really like that, always like that. Auto launchers, instead of shooting in your shooting phase, this model can use its auto launchers until the start of your next shooting phase. When resolving an attack made with ranged weapons against this model, subtract 1 from the hit rolls. Now, when it comes to transport, because we have the transport stats at the bottom, it says this model can transport 6 chapter Primaris infantry models. Each Mark X Gravis model takes up 2 spaces, so basically the aggressors and, you know, stuff like that. That is our Captain in Gravis armor. That is Mark X armor. It cannot transport jump pack models. Okay. Right, faction keywords. Now, this is kind of interesting because there's been a lot of debate about this, and I actually want your feedback on this kind of subject. So the faction keywords is Imperium, Adeptus Astartes, and then Chapter. So it doesn't have Blood Angels, Space Wolf, Dark Angels, or anything like that as the keywords. And a lot of people say, well, that means we can't use it as those chapters then. Is that true? Am I getting confused with something else? I'd really like to get some feedback on that. Does that mean you can't benefit from the stats that the Blood Angels, Dark Angels and stuff give, because it doesn't have the Dark Angel keyword. And what I mean by that, for example, the Dark Angels and Plasma have some pretty rad stuff. So does that mean you can't use the Mackerel Plasma Incinerator with Dark Angels if you buy this Repulsor Executioner tank? I'm just a bit confused by that, so if you can clear that up for me, I would very, very much appreciate it. Other keywords is Vehicle, Transport, Fly, Repulsor, Repulsor Executioner. Of course, this thing flies. And for those of you who says, Varak, technically you have a flying transport, I will find you, and I will hurt you very, very badly. This is not a flyer. Even though it has the fly word, technically, it is not a flyer. So please stop teasing me with that. Right, when it comes to points, by the way, it also has a power level of 15. For those of you who do power level, I don't do power level. Right, so when it comes to actual points itself, the Repulsor Executioner, this is the base of the tank, is 185 points. Now, if you add all the weapons up and you add the heavy laser destroyer on it, then it comes to 299 points. If you want to take the Mackerel Plasma Incinerator on it instead of the heavy laser destroyer, then it comes to 290 points, which I personally think is bang on fantastic. I really, really love the point cost. It's a very, very cheap model. With the amount of firepower you can put out on this, it is really, really good. The heavy laser destroyer is good. The Mackerel Plasma Incinerator, I've always liked it on my Dreadnoughts. Now I can take it on a tank. It is good. So I personally think the points cost are nice. I do it. I really, really enjoy the points. That's why I basically ordered 2 of these, because I thought I can fit, well, I can personally fit probably about 3 of these in my 1500 point list if I really wanted to squeeze it in, and have that like base of tight fight. Maybe that would be me a tad little dickish of me to bring to a 1500 point game, but you can work stuff like that in, and with much ease as well. So I think it's great. I absolutely love it. This is basically it for the Repulsor Executioner. This is the rules out at the moment. Of course, you can pre-order it today. Today's the 29th of June, and it comes out the 6th of July, if I'm not mistaken, the following Saturday. I don't know if that's the 6th or not, but it comes out the following Saturday anyway. So if you're going to order them, and yeah, enjoy it. Bring on the Primaris purging. Right, that is me done for another video. Thank you for watching. If you've got any questions at all, again, please post it in the comments section below, and we can have a nice little debate about it down there. Thank you for watching the video. Hope you've enjoyed it. I shall see you all very, very soon. See you now, and bye-bye.